Hello. In this lesson, we will be covering evaluating expressions that contain variables, order of operations, and fractions. Let's begin by defining what a variable is. A variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. Think of it as a temporary placeholder. For example, if you have 4x plus 3, where x is equal to 3, how would you go about solving this expression? So we're going to substitute this x for the 3, right? So 4 times 3 plus 3, and we're following our order of operations. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 gives us a sum of 15, okay? Let's say that you're given something like 3/4 x plus 3, where x is equal to 4. All right, doing the same thing, 3/4 times 4 plus 3. All right, so now we're multiplying fractions here, right? So let's see if we can find a common or a greatest common factor that we can reduce, and we can. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 4 once. Multiplying 3 times 1, we get a result of 3, or a product of 3. Adding 3 to that gives you a sum of 6, okay? Let's say that you're given something like 4x squared minus 5x plus 5, where x is equal to 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and replace your x, or everywhere you have an x, with the number 2. Okay, so 4 times 2 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 5. So let's follow our order of operations. So we have 4, and then 2 times 2 is actually 4, minus 5 times 2 plus 5. 4 times 4 is 16, minus 5 times 2 is 10, plus 5. 16 minus 10 is 6, plus 5 gives you a sum of 11. Okay, let's work out another problem here. Let's say that you're given something like x squared minus x plus 4, where x is equal to negative 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and substitute our x's with negative 2. Okay, so we have negative 2, that's squared, minus, be sure you bring down this minus sign always, right? And this x is negative 2. So we're going to place negative 2 inside of parentheses and bring down plus 4. So now let's continue on. So negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. And then a negative of a negative is a positive. So that's positive 2 plus 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Plus 4 is equal to the sum of 10. Now what I want to say is that anytime you have an even number of negative factors being multiplied together, that means your product will be positive. So notice how we were multiplying two negative factors together, and you know that 2 is an even number, and we got a result of 4, which is positive. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and work another problem here. So let's say you're given something like 3x cubed minus x minus 1, and let's say that x is equal to negative 1. All right, doing the same thing, 3 times negative 1 cubed minus negative 1 minus 1. Okay, so we have 3. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. A positive 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. And so here I would like to say is that we have an odd number of negative factors being multiplied together. So that means our product is going to be negative, right? And that is the case, right? When we multiply negative 1 3 times, we got a result of negative 1. All right, a negative of a negative is a positive, so that's positive 1 minus 1. All right, so 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 1 minus 1. All right, so be very careful with this. All right, now what you're going to do is subtract the smaller absolute value from the greater absolute value, right? And we're going to append the same sign as the greater absolute value onto our answer, right? So remember, the absolute value of negative 3 is simply 3, right? Minus 1. So really you can look at it as 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2, right? However, we do have to append the same sign as the greater absolute value, which in this case, the greater absolute value is negative 3. So this would be negative 2. Then negative 2 minus 1 is equal to negative 3, because remember, a negative plus another negative will equal a negative, okay? All right, let's go with one more problem. Okay, so let's say that you're given the expression 2a minus 4b minus absolute value of c, and we'll end it there. And let's say that a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 2, and c is equal to 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and substitute our letters with numbers. Okay, so 2 times 1 minus 4 times negative 2 minus absolute value of 4, and end it right there. So now what I want to say is that when you're working with grouping symbols, always work from the innermost grouping symbols to the outermost grouping symbols. So here we have the absolute value of 4, which we're treating as a grouping symbol, okay? So let's go ahead and write everything else out. So we have 2 times 1 minus 4 times negative 2 minus an absolute value of 4 is 4. Okay, so we got rid of the absolute value, okay? All right, so now 2 times 1 is 2. A negative number times another negative number is positive. So positive 8, because negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. And a negative of a negative is a positive, so that's positive 4. And 2 plus 8 is equal to 10, plus 4 is equal to 14. Okay, so that's all we have in this lesson. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.